Everyone. So you just watched the Heimler video, talked about the LEQs. We're going to go over the LEQs together. So if you can take out your Chromebooks and go ahead and go to Canvas. While you're doing that, I will share my screen. Now, when you're on Canvas, if you could please go to the SAQs, LEQs, DBQs module and open up this one called LEQ Rubric Student Examples, Civil War and the Economy. And click that. And then open that, and then you'll open this through Cami. So it will, there you go. You go ahead and go to page 2. I'm gonna go through mine. It's already been marked up. I'm going to explain some things here just to remind us about what the LEQ is. Hopefully the Heimler's video helps, but we're going to do a little more here. So our prompt here is evaluate the extent to which the Civil War fostered change in the United States economy in the period from 1861 to 1900. Right. So first thing you want to do is identify the historical thinking skill. Historical thinking skills, we have continuity and change. We have causation. We have comparison, and this one is continuity and change, right? It says change on there. So okay, how much do things change? So rubric, very similar to the DBQ in a lot of different ways. The first part is the thesis and the claim. Again, make sure that you have a historically defensible thesis or claim with a line of reasoning. Here we have two examples. The Civil War fostered economic change and the fact that the Southern labor force was forever changed. There's the claim. And then, but it fostered less economic change due to the North and South's role in the economy staying the same. So then we have our line of reasoning. The other one, due to the Civil War from 1961, America's economy massively changed. There we go. We have our claim, and then due to industrialization, the creation of railroads and the stopping of slavery in entirety. And then we have our line of reasoning. So that's the first step, right? Thesis. Then contextualization. Like Heimler said, like you can do contextualization. You can do it for during the time or afterwards, but usually it's easiest. It makes more sense for students to do it before the time period. So here you want to do something that is happening before the Civil War. Again, you can do continuing, but it could be harder. These are a list of some things that could account for that happened before the Civil War. So you want to explain it. You want to give 2 or 3 good sentences. You want to transition to your thesis and then have your thesis in your intro. So contextualization with the description of the contextualization, go into detail, and then you have that transition. In past ones, students have not been going into enough detail. What they've been describing, let's say, for instance, I think our DBQ about women and how things have been changing for women, the things that they're describing that happened before, it was like similar themes, it was different stuff, but we need some more specifics that differentiate one time period from the other. So be sure you need to add those specifics. And then after that, you go into body paragraphs. So I want 3 pieces of evidence for our LEQ. So you need 3 specific evidence. You need to describe the evidence, and you need to describe it in detail. Tell us what it is. Tell us, for this evidence here about the Civil War, right? Explain Freedmen's Bureau, explain Pacific Railroads, explain the Black Codes, Jim Crow laws, Ku Klux Klan, explain all that kind of stuff for the reader and for myself. I guess I'll be reading this one. And then, so that's the first one, is having evidence. I want 3 pieces of evidence for our LEQ, and I want you to describe as best you can, and then tie it back to your thesis. Make sure that everything's organized, make sure that there's topic sentences, and you want to tie it all back to our thesis here. So those are the 4 points we did before. Now we have our 2 new points. Our 2 new points are historical reasoning and complexity. Complexity is the same as the recording for class. All right, sorry, there was someone at the door. So complexity is the same as the LEQ, or sorry, as the DBQ. And so same thing is like you want to make sure that it's done throughout the whole essay. You're making connections, you're analyzing things in multiple variables, looking at similarities and differences. You're explaining both continuity and change. You're looking across time periods in your conclusion, you're looking at different perspectives, you have a counter argument. This kind of stuff is done throughout the essay. Then we also have our historical reasoning skills. This is a new one that's different from the DBQ. So historical reasoning skills, what you're doing here is you're making sure that your essay is structured in a way that that is answering the comparison, and it's comparing things, right? Or causation or continuity and change, right? It's everything is written in a way that fully addresses those aspects of historical reasoning. So some examples here are that maybe they're explaining how innovations began during the Civil War, such as abolition of slavery and standardized currency, and that contributes to change again, but they're making sure everything's tied back to change. They have explanations of broader elements of the economy, such as regional divisions of between a more agricultural south and a more industrial north, or growing role of business in particular industries such as railroads, demonstrated continuity over time in spite of the Civil War, right? So you're making sure that like everything's geared towards continuity or change. So if you have that in your thesis and you make sure to come back to that over and over, then you're going to get the historical reasoning skill of coming back to explaining why things are continuity or why things are change for this prompt, which is about continuity and change, right? Fostering change. All right. So what I can do is to now go to scroll down or jump down. I guess you always put the number in to page 11. I'd like you to read both essays 3A and 3B. I want you to grade those essays. So read through it, grade those essays, work with someone else, and identify all 6 points. So the 6 points, again, are contextualization, thesis, do they have those two? Evidence, do they have 3 pieces? Do they have enough evidence? And are they tying it back to the thesis? Is everything through the lens of continuity or change for this specific essay? And then do they earn the complexity point? So go and read through and then mark and highlight things as you're scoring it. And then I'll go over this once you're done going through this with Amy.